Tom here from EsportsGG, and I'm with the Commissioner of the ALGS, John Nelson, and we're here to talk about not what's going on right now here in Sapporo, Japan, but what is coming in the future for the ALGS. John, what has the year 5 of the ALGS got in store for us?
A lot of exciting stuff. A lot of the same staples of the ALGS that you've come to enjoy, like 3 LAN events, preseason qualifiers, Challenger Circuit, Pro League, match point format, all of those things. But we're adding some new twists and some exciting things. So for starters, the first LAN of ALGS Year 5 will have a new format. Very exciting. We're gonna call it the ALGS Open, and it's going to feature 160 teams from around the world playing a double elimination bracket format with the match point finals. All 120 Pro League teams will be invited to participate in the event, as well as 40 additional teams that come in from the preseason qualifiers. It's going to be a really exciting opportunity, especially for semi-pro and amateur players who might get their first opportunity to compete on LAN in their career. Speaking of those preseason qualifiers, they actually begin on February 22. So we're only a few weeks away now from the start of ALGS Year 5, which is really exciting. So players can put their teams together and start to compete in a few weeks to try to make it to that first LAN of the year.
That's really exciting to hear that so many teams are going to get to be on that global stage and going to get the attention that they deserve. Why have you decided to shake up the format and have so many teams at LAN? Because that's obviously a massive undertaking for yourselves, right? Yeah,
but worth it, I think. I think that esports predominantly of late have fairly exclusive events. We have 40 teams. We've had 40 teams at our events now for the last few years. But there's a lot of events around esports that maybe they have 16 teams or 8 players or something, and it's fairly exclusive. And I think it's really important to engage not just professional players and teams, and there are more than 40 of them, but also semi-pro and amateur players, and give them that path to growing their careers and professional status. I also have a really soft spot in my heart for humongous LAN events. I began my career as the commissioner of Major League Gaming, and I also think fondly of large-scale LANs like EVO, for example. And so I'm really excited to bring that experience to the ALGS this coming year.
So let's dive into the nitty-gritty. With so many teams competing, how is the format going to work? Is it going to be similar to what we're used to, or are you going to be operating a different format because of so many teams?
So it'll be a double elimination bracket format, just straight double elimination, and no group stage. Just everybody starts in the winner's bracket. If you finish bottom 10 twice, then you're out. And still a 4-day event, similar hours to what fans and players have gotten used to at our Split 1 playoffs and Split 2 playoffs events. I think one of the biggest differences is that we obviously can't have every single series played on the main stage, or it would take a lot longer than 4 days. So that's going to be, again, like kind of the cool LAN party experience. There's going to be one series that's always happening on the main stage, but simultaneously for a good part of the event, there's going to be 3 other setups of 60 PCs out there on the floor. And so fans who attend are going to be able to walk around, and they can sit and watch the main stage, or they can kind of be out there in the more like convention type of feel, just peeking over shoulders and watching the matches out there on the open floor.
So it's going to be a great time for people to dive into competing in Apex Legends for the first time, maybe getting into the Challenger Circuit, because there's so many more opportunities for people to get to LAN. Once we've had that Play Apex Open, what does the roadmap look like then for the rest of the year? Is it the same as we're used to?
Similar again. So after the ALGS Open, the next LAN event will be a playoffs event. We're rebranding it as the mid-season playoffs. It's in the middle of the season, and it's still primarily driven by Pro League performance. So teams will be able to qualify through the Open. If they do really well in the Open, they'll also qualify for the mid-season playoffs. But predominantly the spots come from Split 1 of the Pro League. And then the last event of the year will be our championship. But yeah, a lot of the other elements that I was talking about of the ALGS are still there. So we kick off with preseason qualifiers. We have a challenger circuit that runs concurrently to the Pro League, and then you have your little one-off tournaments like the Pro League qualifier and Last Chance qualifier, and in functioning towards that like promotion relegation of the Pro League, as well as giving teams that last chance to try and qualify for the championship.
So with all the changes that you're making this year, obviously people are going to be drawn towards prizing. I know that you're revamping how prizing is distributed across the ALGS Year 5.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just talk us through how that's going to work and how people can get their hands on some cash for all their efforts?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so for starters, the Pro League will still have $500,000 of prize money for each split, so that's staying the same. Championship is still $2 million, mid-season playoffs and ALGS Open, both $1 million tournaments. So it's still a $5 million prize pool for the ALGS Year 5. But the distribution is a little bit different going into this year. So ALGS Open will award prize money to the top 40 teams. There's 160 competing, so we felt like it made sense to extend that distribution a little bit further than we're used to. And we're also extending the distribution at the mid-season playoffs and the championship. So, something that we felt, and I think other players and fans have felt in past years, is that only 20 teams getting prize money at the LANs sometimes doesn't feel the best. Sometimes you feel like, wow, that team, they had a really solid group stage. They went out in elimination bracket round 2. They got so close to the finals, and they walk away with nothing. So we're extending the distribution for both mid-season playoffs and the championship to 30 teams. And we feel good about awarding to those extra 10 teams each LAN event.
It's great that you've listened to feedback from the community in terms of how you're adjusting, because that prize thing has been something that people have suggested. Another area that you've listened to feedback and you're making adjustments is on how playoff points and points are kind of attached to people. Can you talk us through those changes as well?
Right, yes. So, and some of this is about responding to feedback, and some is just out of necessity. But the way that the ALGS Year 5 is structured, with ALGS Open, mid-season playoffs, and then championship. So the championship follows the Split 2 Pro League, whereas in past years you would have had a Split 2 playoffs and then a championship. And so we were able to award the majority of championship spots by just looking at LAN performance. Just Split 1 playoffs, Split 2 playoffs, what was the combination, top 32, 30, whatever it was, teams then go to the championship, then you have your last chance qualifiers. But with the championship being the only LAN after the Split 2 Pro League, we had to change things up a little bit with the way points work. So they used to be called playoff points. Now it's more than just the playoffs that award points, so we're rebranding them as championship points. And you can earn them at all 3 LANs, ALGS Open, or not championship, but you get points at the ALGS Open and the mid-season playoffs. You also get points for the Pro League. Top performance, any performance in the Pro League will get you some amount of points. So Pro League standings, whether it's Split 1 or Split 2, will have a large impact on who qualifies for the championship as well.
And then to dive into something close to my heart, the Challenger Circuit, are you adjusting how points are distributed and kind of stick with teams in the Challenger Circuit this year? That's obviously something that comes up a lot, where people kind of draft like a point sponge in at the last minute and move their team up the league to qualify for something.
Yes, we've heard the feedback on that as well, and wanted to not have situations anymore. Some of those sort of like edge cases where funny things could happen with either roster movement or just someone being rostered on the team but not actually participating in the team. So the big change with that one is that whether it's a preseason qualifier tournament or a Challenger Circuit tournament, you're going to have to compete in at least 10 matches over the course of that over the course of that tournament in order to earn the points that your team is due. And so if you don't participate in at least 10, then you don't get any points.
We've talked about the format and how things are going to work, but let's focus on what is ultimately the most important thing, the matches that people are going to have to play. There are a couple of changes to how things are going to look when you're actually in a tournament this year. Number one being legend bans. Can you talk us through why you've decided to introduce those and what are you kind of looking for from those?
Since the launch of Apex and competitive, either prior to the launch of the ALGS or in these 4 years of the ALGS that we've had, a new update comes out in the game and the pros establish a meta, and that meta often only features 3 to 5, 6, maybe we get a 7th legend, but even they're played pretty infrequently. It doesn't feature the breadth of quality of content that exists in Apex Legends, and it doesn't, the gameplay that we see in a given meta can be fairly repetitive, match on match, and it doesn't push the players to really showcase, how flexible they are and how deep their skill goes beyond just maybe the one legend that they're going to play because of the where the meta is. And so we're introducing legend bans after every match in a series. Whichever legend was played the most, chosen by the most teams, is now banned for the remainder of the series. So after match 1, you'll have a legend that gets banned. After match 2, you'll have a legend that gets banned, and so on for as long as the series goes. And so I think this is going to produce some really interesting things, and players are going to be able to showcase how many legends they can play at a high level. Teams are going to need to strategize based on what legends they predict will still be there in match 2, in match 5, etc. It's going to be really interesting, and I think as fans, we'll get to see a lot more legends used throughout tournaments, which is always really fun to see. Yeah, so I imagine your next question might be about maps. I wanted to talk about that.
I was going to jump in and ask you quickly because maps is next on my list.
Okay.
Legend bans will apply in match point finals.
They will.
There is a theoretical scenario where we are down to very, very few legends. Is there a cutoff to the number of legends that be banned, or do people kind of cycle back in?
Yes. So that's an important aspect also of the legend ban system that we're implementing. So if we had some sort of crazy scenario where a match point finals goes even longer than some of the record longs that we've seen, there's no situation where you'd be out of legends. So what we're introducing is that if at any point the last legend in a particular class was going to be banned, then the first legend within that class that was banned returns to the pool. So you're never going to have fewer than at least one legend per class, even if we got to that. I mean, it would take an epically long match point finals to even get to that sort of scenario. But we thought it was important just because of the different capabilities that each class has, that we not have a scenario where all of a sudden now no one can scan a beacon or
access a assault bin or whatever. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. I did also want to ask, obviously this follows the introduction of the POI draft. Do you feel that for some players there might be a little bit too many restrictions and controls on how they play the game, or do you think it's more about them having to adapt?
I definitely don't think we've reached a point of too many restrictions. I think the players are incredibly versatile. They show it every time that a new update comes to the game. How they're able to flex and discover what actually is the optimal way to play Apex now. And so I think things like legend bans and adding more maps to the ALGS just allow for players to showcase that. So, on maps in particular, we are adding a 4th map to ALGS Year 5. We're adding Broken Moon. We'll have 4 maps. We're keeping E-District, World's Edge, and Stormpoint. They won't all be necessarily incorporated into every single event. So if you're playing in Preseason Qualifier 3, or if you're playing in Pro League, match day 8, or what have you. You won't necessarily be needing to prepare strategies on all 4 maps. There will be instances where this tournament only has 2 maps, or this one only has 3. But over the course of ALGS Year 5, you will see all 4 of those maps.
That's really exciting. I think how many Storm Point and Wheels Edge games I've watched across my time with EsportsGG is probably in the thousands at this point. Why Broken Moon? I guess that's the question. I can already hear the comment section talking about Olympus and Kings Canyon. I could probably guess your answer, but why was Broken Moon the next map to come to the ALGS?
Part of it is the player reaction to the recent map update for that map, how well it was received, how much people appreciated playing it within the BLGS.
Yeah.
And so, I think obviously like with more time officially as a part of the ALGS, more effective strategies will come to play, over what was able to be established in just the BLGS. But we were just really encouraged by the performance of the map within that tournament series and the potential for it to get even better moving forward.
And then I couldn't talk to the commissioner of the ALGS without at least trying to see if when should we be clearing our schedules for this Pro League Split 1, ALGS Open. We know it's not long now till preseason qualifiers, but how long till we see Apex on the global stage once again?
Okay, so you're testing my ability to remember specific dates, which I don't think I'm going to be able to effectively on all of those aspects. But yeah, like I said, preseason qualifiers kick off on Saturday, February 22. Really exciting to make that announcement in Japan that registration is open, that there's no off season to wait. Really,
music to my ears.
Get your teams together and compete. You can qualify for that first LAN event, and Pro League is going to start in April. I want to say it's like April 6th or something like that, but very early in April we'll kick off the Pro League. And the ALGS Open event is...
Excellent. Thank you very much for confirming. Look forward to seeing everybody at the ALGS Open. John, thanks for sitting down with me and talking me through ALGS Year 5. What an exciting time to be an ALGS fan, right?
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks so much. I love this game.